Hey guys, and welcome back to Sip, Savor, and Celebrate. I'm Devin,
I'm Chris,
and we've
and
got some guests with us
we
today.
do another amazing interview coming up. I can just feel it. I can feel it. So you already know CJ Agave, a returning guest. He's been on a couple times, and we now have a new guest. This is Rick. Rick is from Don Rico Tequila, and we are gonna pick his brain. We're gonna ask him about what drives him to make an amazing tequila. I haven't had it yet. We only took the plastic off. We're about to try it here in a little bit, but ultimately, I've heard nothing but amazing things. I've been trying to buy it for a while, and until just lately, I finally found a spot that I can buy it from.
But I do want to take a moment and let's look at this bottle. So what you guys can't see on screen is actually like go back.
Oh,
The Rico is embossed, and so that has its own texture and stands out, which is really cool because I don't see another bottle off the top of my head that does that.
right.
So for sure, this bottle definitely stands out and has an eye catch just there.
But when you hold the bottle in your hand, and I don't know what you guys were or how you came up with this, but the texture, the feeling of the actual label, I know it's something like literally off the wall, but to me, I really dig it. It's like super soft and it's weird. I can't explain it, and I don't know why, but I really, really like it.
And then the agave that you got on there is really cool.
Yes, definitely.
That is an aerial view of an agave for those that aren't aware. And so that is something that. So just from the looks of this bottle, I'm telling you, it looks classy. It looks high priced, and it looks
very.
You are setting the bar high with a great tone. So hats off to you and your design team.
Yeah. So that leading into it.
All right. Well,
tell us, please.
There's definitely a story.
Yeah. What's the story behind this? What drove you to like, hey, let's go make some tequila?
Yeah. So let me tell you. Well, you're talking about the story behind the labeling and the bottling, or you want to know the story behind
all of it? I want to hear all of it, if you don't mind.
Not a problem, but I'll talk a little bit about the bottle since you raised that first. So I'll talk about the bottle. We actually had a completely different bottle in mind. And in fact, maybe we can the bottle before was your traditional tequila bottle, right? Had more rounded tops to it. And my idea was always that I don't want to put money into the packaging. I want to put money into the product inside. I don't want people to spend excess amount of money on the tequila, because I wanted to be affordable and accessible to everyone. So I want to show you this bottle right here. Ooh. This was our original bottle. This was our very first bottle that we made the first time around. And so you'll notice I wanted people to be able to see the juice inside. So it's a clear label. So even when you went around, it's very clear. But what you can notice is you can barely read it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't
it
really.
It kind of looks like the Vulcan Demi Tierra, like the regular lineup, not their XA.
It's this traditional bottle, right? There's nothing especially, very special about it. But prior to doing this, I had gone out and had some business cards made, and my business card had the embossed on there, right? The foil, and it had that soft texture. Yeah. And after looking at this bottle, we thought, why don't we make it so that business card is the label? And that's basically where it came from. So we tried to go in there and get the look of something that was simple. I didn't want to, like I said, spend a lot of money on the packaging because I wanted people to focus on what was inside the bottle, not on the outside. But I wanted it to be simple. I wanted it to be elegant. And I needed it to stand out to some extent because everybody else puts a lot of money into the bottles, right? So my idea was that if someone were to grab the bottle, just be a little interested and grab it off the shelf, and then they felt that touch, they'd say, you know what, I'm not going to put this back down. I'm going to hold on to it. Part of our theme here that we have, obviously our tagline is Ay Que Rico. That's our web domain, ayquerico.com. But our theme is stimulate your senses. So the idea was that everything about this product is going to stimulate the senses, starting with what's inside. The smell, the taste, the touch, the feel, even the sounds to some extent, right? The sights of it, looking at it, when you swirl it around. But when you're talking about even sounds at the distillery or sounds when you're popping that cork and you're pouring it, everything was going to stimulate the senses, right? So why not then touching the bottle, the texture of the bottle? Why not the swag that we have? The t-shirts are 100%, or actually they're 95% bamboo, super, super soft t-shirts. So the idea was that everything in this entire product line was about stimulating your senses. You'll notice on the top of the lid there, it
I
has
was
our
just
logo
looking at
embossed
it.
on top as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
I mean, it's a simple, very elegant piece that that just looks of quality. You wouldn't expect something like this. Yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, I want to say thank you to that, because you're absolutely right. Almost everybody's all about, let me how flashy can I make my bottle to
Right,
where you want to pick it up. When you said that a second ago, and I'm not trying to play into your ego, I really am not.
Thank you.
The first thing I told Devin when he came over, I said, this is one we're doing, but feel this. That was the very first thing I said. Feel this. It's insane. Thank you. No, honestly, because you're right. It's not just about, and we talk about this too. It's not just about, the taste. You want to smell, you want a sensory yet. You want to, what does it make you think of? And I tell everybody, when you're drinking or sipping, I want you to pull it apart and tell me everything that's going through your mind, no matter how silly it is. Tell me.
Kind of silly.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't get feet this time. No, I'm just kidding. I apologize. But so tell me the story about, hey, let's make tequila.
Well, it goes back 15 years. I was general counsel for another tequila company. It was Dos Lunas Tequila, based in El Paso, a very quality brand. And back at that time, prior to that, I had stopped drinking tequila altogether because I had done all the things wrong, right? What everyone has done in college, all those things that we used to do, which was shooting it, the lime, and drinking, JC, right? we all did it, right? And I told myself, I'm not going to drink tequila ever again. And then I started working at Dos Lunas, and I realized there's a whole different market of tequila out there. And it started making me think about it a little bit. And I started thinking about, wow, there is that sensory perception here that you need to get into and understand and appreciate. So as I started doing that, I started to collect. Again, this is 15 years ago. And I told myself in my mind, I would love to be able to do something, but do it differently. Going back to what I mentioned earlier about the packaging was keeping it simple, right? Mm-hmm. Making it something that's very easy to do, very easy to taste, but accessible to everyone. I didn't want to price it out of the market, those types of things. I wanted to have a product that everyone could enjoy, aficionados as well as novices. So, over time, I kept talking to my wife about it. Something I'd like to do. Eventually, my brother moved to Guadalajara. He moved there about 5-6 years ago. And so he was working there, and I thought, now's the opportunity. Now's the time that if I'm going to take advantage of this and learn and truly learn from the inside about this product that we all love, tequila, now's the time to go. So I went down there. I probably went 3-4 times a year. And I did that over the course of 4 or 5 years. And I just started learning as much as I could. I visited probably at least 3 dozen different distilleries. I spoke to the master distillers at all of them. I knew which products that I liked, which ones I didn't like. And without asking any questions about any trade secrets, it simply was, why does this taste the way that it tastes? And not to say that I liked it or didn't like it, because it fell in both categories. But I learned from that, talking to the master distillers, what I wanted to do, what I felt that I could do to produce a product that I pictured myself as being that average, kind of consumer. And as somebody, I didn't want to spend a lot of money for tequila, but I wanted it to taste right. I wanted it to taste good. And so what could I do to do that? And so did that. I went to the CRT. I took classes. I took classes with them prior to them having the certification in professionalism and culture and so forth. I don't know how many people have done that class, but when I went the first time, we went into the lab. We studied the soil. We studied the plant itself. We talked about, the way the plant grows, different, the regions. We talked about chemistry involved in production and, development and so forth. So it was different. when I first started, talking to them and learning this aspect of it. Then, of course, they fine-tuned that class. And so I took that class probably about, I don't know, 3-4 times. But everybody in our team, they've all gone to Mexico and they've all taken that class. So everybody, my wife, my kids, my 2 business partners, they're all certified in it as well. Everyone's had the opportunity. The idea being, I wanted a product that was accessible to everyone, price-wise, quality-wise, and that it was going to be just a product that was very enjoyable and that you could share with your friends and just have a good time with it, and not so just go out there and get drunk. And so that's kind of like the story behind how it all kind of fell together.
Well, I
how
see
did you
that
choose
you're
1608?
at. Sorry about that. What was that?
How did you choose 1608 as the?
I was literally just
Yeah,
beat me to it.
no problem. Yeah, we went to a few distilleries. In fact, I went to Cascajuin. I went to Feliciano Vivanco y Asociados. I went to Eden. I could just name off a whole bunch. I went out to Patron. I got the tour Patron. For those of you that may not know, you have to be invited to go take a tour there. You don't just to get to walk in. They don't have them open to the public. And so I was fortunate that I could go do that. And so, where we started was, hey, here are the products that we have. Here's kind of our product line. Here is the kind of tequila we're producing. These are our price ranges for each of these products. Which one do you like? I was getting a lot of that feedback. I wanted to be involved in the process, and I felt that I was not involved. And that's across the board. It's not any one particular distillery like that. It's just across the board, because obviously, the master distiller deserves a lot of respect and kudos to them, because they're the ones that are the scientists behind this, the
You're
chefs
absolutely
behind
correct.
this, right? But I knew that I wanted a particular profile. And so I wanted something that was made very specific to meet that profile. And so after having gone through a few that actually, that second or that first bottle that I showed you, this was actually a distillery that it was in process of getting their nom. They had not gotten it done yet. And so I was even at the point, because they were producing product and selling product, but they didn't have a nom yet. So we were even at that point, but we knew that they had all of the equipment that we were looking for. And that was part of this process. When we saw that it wasn't happening and it wasn't going to happen soon enough, we just by chance through an acquaintance in Mexico happened to come across a distillery that was producing a lot, 1608 Los Valores, and they didn't have any brands that were affiliated with them. They were producing for all the other noms. And so I went in there, started talking to them. They had 2 master distillers at the facility. And so I was able to talk to both of them. One was generally running the whole distillery overall, production. The other one was more specific to the actual product development. And so I had the opportunity to speak with the owner of the distillery as well as the master distillers. And they were open to allowing me to be a part of the process to say, okay, how can we change this? How can we put in these little features that I'm looking for? Obviously we wanted to use mature agave. That was very important to me to do that.
Number one.
Right. It was important to me that we remove the cogollos,
Okay.
Now you did
that
just
little
say,
bit.
Mature agave. So are we talking, you're using the 8-year? Are you using the 5-year? Are we using a mix in between?
It's more of a mix in between. It's
Okay.
a 6-7 year agave, but we actually go through and inspect it beforehand to make sure that it's already started the process of
That's
self-fermenting.
a lot of work.
It is. Right. Well, obviously you can tell if it's going to be a certain size, you're going to call that out, because they're buying a lot of volume of agave from highlands and lowlands. And so I wasn't necessarily particular about the idea of just using lowland agave or highland agave or, from some other region. I was fine with blending them.
Okay.
I could get more consistency if I did that, right? Because year to year, it's going to change. And so this would
Correct.
keep somewhat of a consistent product coming out. And so that was one of the things that they talked to me about. We discussed it. Obviously, everyone was open to it. So we were able to get that blend of agave that, and also we're a small company. So I
Right,
don't
no.
I
They
don't
have
have
4
500.
there. I
Right,
just looked it up. They only have 4 different tequilas. Now, I
Right.
didn't mean to cut you off earlier, but you'd said that you're taking out the Goya, or
Yeah, we're cutting out the cogollos.
Okay.
So that's part of the process that we knew that in the process that they were willing to do it, right? In other words, that put the extra labor in to cut that out.
well, yeah,
Most
because that
companies
takes a
don't.
lot of that bitterness out of it.
Right.
Right.
It's actually, like you said, it is extra work. It's labor intensive, but just like, any good dish that you're going to make, if you're going to
Right.
do it right. You
Yeah.
don't need to cut corners by grabbing, a can off the shelf when you can make it yourself and it'll be 10 times better.
Right. Right.
So
So-
I agree with that.
And so that was part of the process. We knew it had to be Orno cooked, right? It had to be done in the brick ovens, the old
Okay.
traditional ovens. They have 2 of them that 30 tons each. Is it 30 tons? No, it's less than that. It's about 16 tons each. Sorry, 32 total. But
And
they
how
also
are they heating those?
so everything is steam, water vapor.
Okay.
There is a within the facility, they're cleaning all the water themselves. They're filtering all the water
Okay.
in-house. And so all the water is recycled and reused. So it's a pretty neat facility. They do have 2 autoclaves in-house.
Okay.
They don't use those for mine. They use them for a lot of the production they do for everybody else. They're
Okay.
producing on average about 3,000 liters a day on one shift.
Wow.
So this is a pretty big operation, right? I mean,
I was
they
thinking
run
the same
one
thing.
shift. Right. To give you an idea, I think Fortaleza runs 3 shifts and produce the 3,000 liters a day, and they can't keep up, right?
No. Yeah.
And that's why they're building the second facility that they have, across the street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen that, but yeah,
We're going to, we're heading to, we are heading to Jalisco, this November.
Okay,
Gonna
good.
start our tour up in, Anarandas. So we're actually, gonna spend a day and a half with Ana Maria, believe it or not.
Wonderful.
So I'm excited about that. And then we're gonna spend the rest of the time, in and around the valleys. So
Yeah,
we're,
that'll be nice.
we're
Yeah,
still
that's nice.
formulating the last half of it yet, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun.
We're doing it
apologize.
next week. We're doing it about 7-8 days. We're going back.
Oh,
And so we'll do some of the touring
lucky.
again, right? Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah. So
Well,
so
how do
anyway,
you crush it?
so crushing, so after cooking it, actually to let you know, it's 48 hours of cooking. So it's slow
Nice.
cooked. We turn the ovens off, and then it's another 24 hours of resting in the ovens. Temperature comes down to regular temperature. So it's a total of 72. We use a roller mill to crush, and it goes through. There's 2 different machines, 2 different separate ones. So it depends. Sometimes I'll run it through the 3 times. So it has 3 times crushing. Sometimes it's 4 times, depending on what it is they're putting through. And then, of course, collects and goes right into the tanks. They're in-ground tanks. It's self fermenting. It's all natural fermenting, in terms of yeast. So
Okay.
we don't add any additional yeast. It's what comes out of the plant itself, or what is hovering kind of over the tanks, and it just
Right.
kind of pulls it from the air through gravity.
Now, what
And
kind of tanks are you using? Are they cement? Are they stainless steel? Are they plastic? Are they wood?
these are 9 stainless steel tanks that are in ground.
Okay.
And so it's as you can imagine, that's quite a bit.
Huge.
For 20,000
So is
liters.
it more of a
right?
closed, is it more of a closed fermentation?
No, it's open fermentation.
Open
We
air?
don't use fibers to cover. We just leave it open, and that way we allow any additional yeast to kind of get on there. We do that for 3 days, so 72 hours of fermenting. And then it goes to double distillation. It's a stainless steel pot with copper coils.
Okay.
We do that twice. We do go ahead and pass it 1 time through, to make sure we get any type of impurities out of it before we bottle it. But it goes pretty much straight from distillation right to the bottle for the Blanco. What we do is we will make the 1 batch only. So we'll try and plan in advance, right? And so we make the 1 batch. From that, we will pull enough to make the reposado and the añejo as well.
Okay.
So from the reposado, what we'll do is we'll go ahead at that point is put it into the barrels. It's going to be a bourbon whiskey barrel that we'll let it, American white oak, we'll let that sit in there for 3 months, and then we take it out. So it's very light in color. I'll show you here.
I see that.
This goes to the fact that all the places I was going to, I found that I liked the lighter tequilas. And so my question then was, well, why is it lighter? Well, there's different reasons, right? One is you age it less. Another one is you're aging in used barrels that have been used many, many times, as opposed to just, let's say, 3, 4, 5 times. So you're talking about 7, 8 times. And so you're not going to get as much of that oak influence. And I realized that I still wanted the agave, essence in the tequila. And as much as I love reposados, I still wanted to taste tequila. And so my plan at that point was, well, I have the new barrels, and so let's just do it less time. And so that's why it's pretty light in color.
Okay.
What it did was it gave a more creamier kind of buttery finish to it as a result. So it really toned it down nicely, I think. It makes it for a very versatile product, I think, because, to give you an idea, we submitted it for the Beverage Test Institute competition for the margarita competition, and it won first place overall for best agave in a margarita.
Oh, wow. There you go.
It was pure chance, because normally everybody would submit the Blancos, right? My wife was doing the paperwork, and my son says, nah, submit the Repo instead. She goes, are you sure? Because there's something about it. Just submit the Reposado for it. And she did. And sure enough, first place overall. So, it was a great thing. Yeah. So then what we do is we take some of that Reposado out, and then we move it to a second barrel. That second barrel is a French oak barrel that contained French wine, French Cabernet wine.
Oh, man.
And so now,
I can't wait to get that bottle in.
This kind of a copper tone color to it that was real different, right? I mean, it's something that you just don't see tequilas in this color, and it is dark, I'll give you that. But that wine, it really did. In fact, it got darker at the front end, and then it kind of toned down over time. So we did that for 10 months. And so you had a total of 13 months in barrels. And we said, okay, let's go with it. I'll fill you in a little hint here. Our second lot, they were supposed to take them out of the barrels, and they didn't. So it was in for 17 months in that French oak. And now, so it's going to be 20 months. So lot 2 is going to be for
I'm hoping that the lot 2 is what I end up getting from Old Town there.
Well, Old Town right now, they have lot 1. So that's but I'll tell you, you're going to like it. It's real interesting. At the front end, you're going to get things like the barrel spice. You're going to get the influence of that bourbon, some cinnamon, even a hint of citrus in it that you still get from the underlying tones from the Blanco and the Repo. But the finish is going to be super complex. You're going to come in with notes of chocolate, cherries, plums, fresh berries. So it's even Remy Newland says you even get some marzipan in there, so a bit of almond kind of texture to it.
Almond,
it's really kind of a complex.
That's on lot 1 or lot 2?
That's lot 1. Lot 2 has more wine influence. So we'll see how that works out. When I tasted it the last time, I pulled out some samples. Of course, it was at 55%. It was pretty close. I mean, I don't think there's going to be much of a difference here. So I think when we tone it down, it's going to be pretty close. Yeah.
I'm like, where do I need to be buying this from? You tell me. Come on, give me the secret. Well, let's see. What are we all getting on the nose? What are we getting on the nose?
I'm getting all the citrus.
Yeah, I get citrus, mint, agave. It's very effervescent.
Yeah. It's very good.
You notice it's very light and crisp, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe that taking those cogollos out, that's part of it. I think that's what keeps it very airy and fresh.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
No, I think it's kind of light with the agave, but there's like a milk or a lactic acid that is coming out of it to me, as the follows through the nose.
I'm getting all citrus.
Grover and Scarlett said the same thing. For me, I didn't pick up on that, but others have.
Okay.
Smells wonderful.
Well,
so how do you come up with the name of the brand of Don Rico?
Well, there's a story to everything, right? But we'll start with, my name is Rick Olivo. And so putting the two together, it was very simple. We go back sometime. And the other thing is getting a trademark is difficult. And we had a lot of other names kind of planned out, and most of them were taken. And then we finally went down and said, well, let's just go with Rico only. But somebody had filed some applications. Someone had done Rico Suave, even though we weren't selling anything yet. But, so we figured, we got to change it up a little bit. And so we thought, well, it could be Don Rico, it could be Casa Rico. And we decided, Don Rico just had a better flow to it. The story goes back a little bit farther. My wife and I, when we were dating, we were traveling in Spain. I was working as an intern at NATO in Brussels. And so she came for the summer to visit. And we took, I think it was 6 weeks to travel from Brussels down to Spain and then back up again. We were on the beach in Torremolinos, and there was this older gentleman selling ice cream every single day on the beach. And, missing half of his teeth, the big old, beer gut, just a happy, jolly, kind of jovial kind of guy selling his ice cream. And it was, ay, 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 que rico, helado frío, every single day. And every day my wife and I bought ice cream, and we had a little chat with him, and he'd come by, we'd hear it down at a distance, ay, 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 que rico. So it became our little thing that we used to say to each other all the time, whenever we had ice cream or we just, something that we liked. And from that, she just started calling me Rico. From that, experience, and then a little bit of, my name kind of combined, and it was easy to, if there were other Ricks in the room, she'd yell out my name, they would all turn around, right? So little things like that. So 20 plus years ago, I bought the domain name, ayquerico.com, thinking someday I'm going to use it. And then here we ended up with Don Rico Tequila. I said, why aren't we just using it? In fact, we have this domain name. Why not just Rico in there somewhere? And so that's how we ended up with Don Rico. And of course, I had the domain name. We got the trademarks in Mexico and here in the US.
That's a great story.
It just, everything fell together.
I was just saying that this morning at breakfast with some friends. They're like, everything in life, I believe 100%, everything happens for a reason. And you know what? That's your story. That worked perfectly.
Yeah.
What are we getting on the palate, y'all? I get a real clean agave, sweet, but it's not like syrup sweet. I'm getting like a sweet cooked agave, just a not a candy bar sweet, but savory sweet. Does that make even sense? I'm not sure. I'm trying to say sweet without being like over like chocolate bar or syrup. I'm not saying anything like that. But it's got a great mouthfeel. It's wonderful to me. I get some of that citrus and the mint notes on there, but ultimately I think it's the agave that shines the most to me.
I get pepper almost right up front. And citrus.
Yeah, definitely the citrus. It's got a real heavy cinnamon finish to me, which I'm not a huge fan of, because that then kind of translated into like a spice, and I would much rather clean finish to my tequila, but that's just me. However, it is a nice step, but it would take me a little bit of a amount of time to drink it. It's not gonna be one where like, okay, I tasted it and the glass is gone. It's gonna kind of be one of those that I would have to let sit, and it would be like an all-night sip.
Well, I mean, I find this wonderful and fascinating because like all of us, and we haven't heard from you yet, obviously, Don. I want to call you Don now. No, Rick, we haven't heard your particular words on it, but I find it interesting that all of us had something different to say about the taste. But I think they're all really well.
Mm-hmm. So some of the taste that I get, you mentioned CJ the pepper, and I get the pepper. You get almost a hint of a spiciness to it, and maybe that's where the cinnamon that you were talking about earlier, that maybe you don't like the cinnamon part of it. For me, it's more of a mix of a mint and anise kind of combined. So I do get some of those herbal notes. Okay. They're very, I guess, kind of below the surface, not overpowering. To go back to when you said, that sweetness, when you get citrus, it's kind of like a natural sweetness that you're talking about, that it's when you're talking about not the syrup, it's just something that you expect from an orange, let's say, or let's say from, not so much a grapefruit, but an orange, I guess, a better
I
example.
get it. Yeah.
That it's just kind of a clean, crisp kind of taste with it.
Right.
The agave is not overpowering. It's there. I think you certainly sense that. But then when you talk about the finish, after just on the palate, but then the finish, you get that oiliness on there, right? You get that nice,
I
cover.
like that.
And you get, I think that's where the pepper comes in. I think that's that spiciness. You even get a hint of a little tingling on your tongue, that you'll notice. And so I don't know if for you on the cinnamon that is something that you notice. The añejo, you're gonna get the cinnamon, I think, at the front end, but not in the finish. And so I think there's a difference from what you get on the nose versus on the palate. And that may be, and there's arguments both ways. I think that could be the blending of the two regions, and to have that
makes
impact
a
or
lot
that
of sense.
influence.
That makes a lot of sense, because I've noticed, and we've been talking about this, we're trying to figure this out as well, but we noticed that a lot of the agave tequilas that use Los Altos, a lot of them tend to be more on the minty side and the cinnamon, but then things from the Valleys have a lot of, to me, briny and minerality, some some earth to it. But that's just what I'm noticing between the difference. But I really like the mixture of the two.
Right.
When you said the mixture of cinnamon and mint together, that makes more sense to me. That really does. I'm loving it. Thank you.
and that brininess, I've had other people tell me that they picked that up. Some people have even told me it almost tastes like the base of a margarita. In other words, you're already getting that little bit of salty and citrus already mixed in, which I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting, take on it. It's not overpowering. It's not too bold on that, but I get that minerality, the water is deep water from the volcanic region, so from the lowlands.
I was going to ask that. What is the, what do you use to bring it down to proof? Are you using natural waters? You like spring, well, rain?
Yeah.
I know
It's
lot
deep
of folks.
well water, and it is from that the lowlands region.
Okay. Overall, I mean, I've only got the Blanco to taste, so I told you I've got them in my cart. As soon as I get them in the house, we're gonna do another review, but with all three of them together. I appreciate you coming on the channel and explaining your passions. CJ, do you got any more great questions for this gentleman?
Well, I've been following you guys for quite some time and talking to Sharon on and off for probably 4 months maybe now. And, you guys have just recently gotten your tequila to added badge from Grover. How has that affected your business so far with that now? Because I've seen what some of the posts have been like, pre and post. So it's a question that,
Well, I'll tell you, I always knew that it was additive free, because I've been there for the production of it, right? I've been through that process, and I knew all along, and it was tough because that's, I think, that disclosure issue for everyone is like, well, everyone says it, but people don't really know what the brand owner's doing. I mean, not the brand owner, but the distillery owner is actually doing. And so it was hard for me to say, well, I know what he's doing because I'm there with them while they're doing it. And I've seen them do other products, and they don't use any additives for any of their products. Even if they're using a column still, because they do have that. Even if they're using the autoclaves, they have that. They also have the Tahona there. But I know they're not using them. We had scheduled, I think Grover was finally able to come out on his 5th try to come out there to do the inspections and to, take the testing and to send it off and do the tastings and all those things. And I had sent them some product beforehand too. It was a difference in, obviously, on our branding. That was the big difference. It's there's that big push right now with a lot of people going to, especially the independent liquor stores. Well, I want something that's additive free. I had one liquor store tell me, well, come back when it's additive free.
Wow.
And I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's odd considering I'm looking on your shelf and you have like 2 that are additive free and the rest are not.
Right.
So in that sense, it's changed because, some are saying, well, yeah, we're looking, for something that's going to stand out. There are some places that we've gone to that actually have a shelf or 2 of just nothing but additive free brands. And of course, it's not very full. So they like to be able to bring in new products. And so in that sense, it's made a difference. The biggest difference for us really has been in the push of us doing the tastings, going store to store. We're all over the state of Texas right now, from El Paso to Houston, and then from Dallas down to Corpus. But we just got word from Total Wine. So we had been in 3 stores here in Texas, 3 in California. We're going to be in all of them here in Texas. In fact, they've already put in 1 large order. They're going to put in some more large orders. But I think that's part of what's going to stand out for us is people see the pricing structure on our products compared to others that are additive free.
Yeah.
We're going to come in considerably less price. And so I'm hoping that that's part of getting people to at least give us a chance and to taste it. There's a lot of great products out there. And I just hope that people look at ours and say, well, here's another one that fits in, this category and should be at that level.
Right.
Also, is your goal to be able to be bought in all 50 states? And I guess, because here in Michigan, we have one of the hardest to get into. So I mean, is that something you're looking at? Is that something that you have already a plan of attack for? And I mean, you're talking about a price point, and I mean, that is one thing we love to cover as well. So I mean, what are we talking price wise that is reasonable to you? Because at the moment, like you said, it's only available in Texas and Cali.
Right. So you can imagine California pricing, they hike those prices up quite a bit over there. And even there, I think at Old Town, it's priced at 45.
I have it right here. So let me just because I got in my cart, I have the Reposado is $54.99 and the Añejo is $74.99. To me, that's very, very reasonable. Let me pop in to find out what they're selling the Blanco at. Let's see here. Rico. The Blanco at Old Town is, of course, not pulling up.
Well, I can tell you that the Blanco, the lowest price that I've seen it at a store is $40. So $39.99.
Okay.
That's the lowest.
Reasonable.
Typically, it's around 42 to 45. Total Wine, it's 42 right now, I think. It's 41 in some Total Wines, I think 43 in others, so about 42 at Total Wine. Then the Reposado comes in at, I've seen it as low as 47. Typically it's around 50, so $49.99. That's pretty normal. And
Right.
Again, depends on the store. And then
It just came up, $44.99 at Old Town.
there
It
you go.
just
So,
came up. Sorry about that.
yeah. And then the Añejo comes in, the lowest I've seen it is 65. And the highest I've seen it at specs on online specs is 92 or 93. But Pogo's in Dallas, which is a kind of a high-end store, I thought it was expensive there, and it was at 85. And they sell it just like it's nothing. No one even asked the price over there. It must be nice.
Right.
But our goal is really to keep it under 45 for the Blanco, around 50, 52 at the most for the Repo, and no more than 75 for the Añejo. But I should also tell you, we do have another product, which is the Don Rico Sangrita. We just bottled this. Here we go. I don't know if you can see that real well or
I
not.
can, yeah.
This
What
way.
is that?
This is Sangrita. Are you guys familiar with Sangrita?
Yes.
Sangrita, if you go back 100 years or so, a lot of the workers would go out into the farms, out in the fields, and they would get their lunch prepared for them, and they would cut up the fruit, sprinkle the red chili on the fruit, and everything from cucumbers, jicama, watermelon, pomegranate, oranges especially, lemons. And you sprinkle that fruit and you put in these plastic bags, and they'd go off to work. They'd have their lunch during the day, and all that juice that fell off, they would save it. And then at the end of the day, of course, they would stop off at the bar to have their little traguito or the caballito of their tequila. So they would sip the tequila and they would pour that juice into another caballito, sip one, sip the other, right? And it
Huh.
was a chaser. It was like a palate cleanser. Well,
I'm gonna have to check, see if I can find that someplace.
yeah. So here in the States, nobody even knows what it is, right?
I've never heard of it.
So what we did was we made it. We made our own version. This is 100% fruit juice and spices. That's it. Nothing else. There's no artificial flavors, colors, preservatives. And we just bottled it last week for the first time. It'll be on our website. It'll be available to buy on our website and liquor stores as well. The idea is that we want to introduce the Vampiro here to the US. The Vampiro is vampire, translated to English from Spanish. And you can go on the side of the road anywhere in Jalisco, anywhere. And you pull off, you want to buy little street tacos or something, right?
Yeah.
The little stand next to it is somebody selling Vampiros, right? And they're pouring the really bad tequila, and the sangrita is made, with high fructose corn syrup and that red dye, and it's really bright red, and they're selling it everywhere, right? We decided to make our own, but just like the tequila, it's all natural. And so this will be available in stores real soon in restaurants.
And on your website.
And on our website, yes. The idea being that, this is our signature cocktail, so to speak, something that we can help get out there. And, a lot of bars and restaurants kept telling us we have no space on the shelf at all to bring your product in. And I said, well, taste this. Now let's make a cocktail out of it. What do you think? And then, oh my God, everyone wants to say, well, that's like Bloody Mary mix. And it's not. Doesn't taste anything like a Bloody Mary. But it's so refreshing. And we put the recipe on the back of the bottle to make a Vampiro. So we're real excited about it. It's something that's also coming out, but it goes along with, the whole product line, which is clean, crisp,
Right.
tasty, free of any type of additives.
So when will that be on your website, you think?
I'm guessing this week it'll be on the website. We'll be ready to ship here any day now. Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking.
I think it's probably gonna run like $10 a bottle.
I'm down. I'm in.
I'll tell you, my son drinks this every day for breakfast. It's just, and I've been making it for 5-6 years since the first time I went down to Guadalajara. And I went to so many places, and let me tell you, it runs the gamut. You get some that are heavy on the chili. You get some that are on the citrus side, the sweet. You get everything in between. I've had them where it was so fresh that you could taste the skins of the chili in it, and it was so warm because they had just blended it, after roasting their chilies. But I like this one. I'm
excited.
Yeah, I like it cold. I like it as a cocktail, the Vampiro cocktail, or if not, just sip the tequila and sip that. It cleanses the palate nicely. It's formulated specifically to balance out the taste of the tequila. So you'll see when you try it. Again, the idea was it goes back in history to when it first started. Those workers were out there, saving that fruit juice and then drinking it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
I'm excited. I'm going to be buying a bottle as soon as you got it up on your site. I'll buy a bottle for sure.
Wonderful.
Well, if nobody else has any more questions, I want to say thank you so much. CJ, you're the one that hooked this whole thing up. I appreciate that.
You're
Rick,
welcome.
I'm excited. This is really, really good juice, and I'm excited to try the others as soon as I get them in. And I appreciate you, appreciate what you do, and keep up the work. Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you so much. I was going to say, because you'd asked the question about getting into other places, and I want to answer that.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
We are in Texas and California. We're starting to spread out in California a bit. Our plan is by the end of the year that we'll be doing, it's more westward kind of approach. So we're going to do Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico, hopefully by the end of the year. We have some opportunities for Florida to come on board maybe next year. And so the idea there is that if it logistically makes sense, that if we have to go to Florida, that we would stop, let's say in Louisiana, Georgia, those are big states kind of on the way. We like the idea of Illinois. We like the idea of New York, obviously hit the top 5 states in the country.
Yep.
North Carolina is in the top 10. even though it's partial control state, it's, one of those states that we want to get to. And so we want to do that growth, cautiously.
I understand.
Some of the best advice I've gotten was from Guillermo, Erickson, Salsa.
Yeah.
His problem that he found was that he grew too fast. And he's been in the business, what, 20 years, more than 20 years with his brand, with just Fortaleza. And so he says, I did it too fast and I spread myself too thin too soon. And that's part of what happened with not having the availability. I think we're in a position with our distillery that growth is not a problem for production. We can produce whatever the needs are, but you need resources, right? You need money to do those things. And that's, we're doing this all in-house. So, we've got to be careful not to overspend. We don't have any debt. So that's the good news, is that we're able to do this and build on it and take everything that we earn, put it back into the business and build from there. There'll be time down the road to rest. For now, we'll build it. Our next generation is coming. My son, my daughter, they're the face of the new generation. They're working in the business. They'll take it to the next level. So until then, we're excited about
good for you
out there as much as we can.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I love it. I love it. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
We do thank you for your time this afternoon, but we also, hope that as your family grows, and Sip, Savor, and Celebrate's family grows, that you'll remember us, as we continue on. Anytime you have new products, we love to hear about that stuff. CJ, as we've said 100 times, you are a part of our family. We always love having you on for our interviews and our conversations. So, we look forward to more. And when, the day is right, we hope to all be able to sit down at a table, and might be your drink. It might be someone else's that we meet along the way, and share one of those.
But
absolutely. Yeah. Well, and you talked about the growth. We do have a high proof in the works. And we have the extra añejo in the works as well.
I love that.
Añejo is just hit the 3-year mark. And so now going in 2 weeks or a week and a half, I'm going to go taste it, see where it's at, decide if we're ready to go ahead and start bottling now. I don't have a bottle design for it yet. So I think it needs to
Well, you're going to have to keep with the whole nice textual thing going.
The theme will be there, right? That will be there. So it has to all blend in well together, but it's something special. So it's got to stand out, I think. And
I agree.
We have some ideas for the high proof version of what we're doing. And that's going to really stick in line with what you have, with a few little changes here and there. But
a lot of folks are coming out with that high proof, and I'm kind of on board for it.
Yeah. Well, it's great because the aficionados truly appreciate it. The other thing about it is, if you really want to get the true essence of agave, man, that's that high proof. When you're not, cutting it so much, you're really getting the sense of that flavor and what they did, 100, 200, 300 years ago, when they first started playing around with this whole product, right? And formulating tequila.
And we just talked about this, you have a high proof favorite, Mr. CJ does. I know one of our other friends does. I don't have a high proof favorite yet, so you never know. Yours can make that list.
I hope to bring it in and give it all a good run.
My favorite high proof is still at the moment is the 11 bricks. I have others that are good, but to me right now, the 11 bricks, I can't anything to come close to it. So maybe
I haven't tried it myself, so I don't know. I do like Cascajuin's, Taona. It's only 42% or 42.5.
Yeah.
But our high proof will be 100% Taona, 100% oven, 100% copper pot.
Ooh,
so it's going to be a little bit more traditional. And so I think
I'm loving this.
More flavor out of it. Yeah.
I'm loving this. I can't wait to try it. I can't wait to try it, to be honest with you. But ultimately, guys, I'll get off here in a second now. But I want to say thank you again. And remember, always sip, savor, and celebrate. Salud.